Hey guys, we are back for more true crime. So today we are going to cover Fear Thy Neighbor, Season 6, Episode 2. So let's get into it. This takes place in Coopersville, Michigan. Wendell Pope Joy and his longtime girlfriend, Rhonda Clark, live together with her daughter, Morgan. Wendell is a former Air Force mechanic who has since retired, but now he is working at a local hospital where he repairs medical equipment. Most people say that Wendell is a really nice guy, really kind, down to earth, willing to help anybody in need, and he lives right next door to a lady named Sheila Bongi. It seems like they really got along with Sheila, that they were pretty close, closer than maybe regular neighbors, the high and by type of neighbor, which is me. Sheila is a nurse's aide and she lives on a 2-acre plot of land right across from Rhonda and Wendell. Sheila is absolutely in love with her place. She has a green thumb. She's always outside. She even created a little playground at the edge of their drive where her grandkids and any other kids in the area can play. It was really nice that she set this up. And according to her family, she is a very selfless, very caring person, very outgoing. Sheila has also appointed herself as the guard of the road. So the road that their houses are on is a road that requires quite a bit of upkeep and it's not taken care of by the city. So Sheila takes care of it. She patches it up in the winter and in the summer, and she takes pride in it. And the neighbors are all very appreciative of her hard work that she puts into repairing and making sure that the road is safe and drivable. Most of the neighbors say that they appreciated her working on it because they didn't want to. And they didn't have to worry about it because they knew as soon as anything popped up, Sheila would take care of it. However, later they did get some new neighbors. Mark and Beth, they move in and they're excited. They're gung-ho about moving out into the country, having all of this space. They were looking forward to the peace and quiet. They wanted to have some chickens and some cows. They were really ready to live that country outdoor life. They were super excited and, just ready to start their new projects. When Beth and Mark moved in, Wendell and Rhonda got together and made a basket and went over to welcome them to the neighborhood. They were excited to have some new people moving in. Besides, all of their homes were connected to one single drive. There's one road in and out. And if you're gonna see these people all of the time, why not be friendly? You know what I mean? Why not go over and introduce yourself and say hi? You're gonna be seeing a lot of each other. The neighborhood is pretty much quiet. Every now and again, Rhonda and Wendell might disturb the peace, when they find a random raccoon trying to get into their duck cages. They may pull out the old 22 and handle business. All was well for a while until Sheila looks out her window one day and she sees Mark and Beth posting fence posts where she believes this is her property. So she believes that they are encroaching on her property and she runs out to confront them. Mark and Beth let Sheila know that they are planning on getting cows and they will need fences, and that this particular property that she thinks belongs to her actually indeed belongs to Mark and Beth. Sheila says that when she bought the house, she was told that that was her property. Mark and Beth let her know that this is their land and they are definitely going to put a fence up here. Sheila is extremely upset by this because the new fence is going to go through her yard, but not only her yard, it's also going to cut through the playground that she has built for the children. This is actually the very first time that Mark and Beth have ever met Sheila. So this is not going off very well. The first time you meet your new neighbor is when you think that they are building a fence on your property. Not good. Sheila comes out one day to find a surveyor there. It seems that Mark and Beth, have called out a surveyor to verify and prove to Sheila that it's not hers. Well, when the surveyor is out there, Sheila gets extremely upset, comes out of her house and demands that the surveyor explain to her why he is there and she wants to see some sort of ID, and she wants him to tell her who called him out there. Well, he wasn't able to do any of that. So she sends him on his way, tells him that he is on her land, and she boots him off. Sheila goes through the yard and pulls up all those survey sticks that the surveyor put out, you know, marking the lines of who owns what. And then she goes over to confront Mark and Beth in a very hostile way.
Who's that guy trespassing on my property? What's the meaning of this? I don't want to see this. You're not going to get away with it.
Who's trespassing now?
They let her know that they are not going away. They are building a fence, and that is their property, and she's got a certain amount of time to get her playground equipment or anything else up out of the yard that is on their property. She storms off extremely pissed off. When the surveyor was actually able to come back out and complete the survey, it was actually true. The land did belong to Mark and Beth, and Sheila did not accept it. She refused to accept that that is not her land. When she was given the information, she considered that a sign of war. That was a total sign of war, that these people were out to get her and steal her land. So all the neighbors are outside talking when Wendell and Rhonda find out about the survey, and they find out that the land actually does belong to Mark and Beth. So Wendell and Rhonda side with Mark and Beth because it is their land and they should be able to do with it whatever they want. Wendell and Rhonda try to calm Sheila down, and Sheila gets extremely upset and feels betrayed by Wendell and Rhonda, as if they weren't her true friend. They were picking sides. They were now friends with Mark and Beth and didn't care about her. She truly believed that, and she was very, very upset about it. Even though Sheila was very upset, Beth and Mark continue with their project. You know, they had plans. It really was their land. So they continued to put up their fence, and they wanted to expand the road so that they would have more room. They had chickens and cows. They need these fences, you know what I mean? But Sheila was not gonna take it laying down. Sheila decides she's gonna write down everything that they do that she feels is unjust to her. As Mark and Beth are making improvements, adding the fences, they are slowly but surely taking down all of Sheila's things that are on their property. It got to the point where Sheila spent a lot of time outside screaming and hollering at Mark and Beth.
Stand there and look like a dumb as you are.
Screaming at them.
Son of a bitch!
Come on over. You're the fat high enough, man. You can eat my ass. I'm looking over your ass.
I'm walking the line. What you gonna do?
You are on my property, and you better get off and leave me alone.
No, this is ours.
She was downright ticked, and that's a lot to deal with. All the screaming, all of the yelling, all the back and forth was not only bothering Mark and Beth, it started to bother Wendell and Rhonda. So much so that Rhonda decided that she was going to buy an air horn, which personally I think, even though Sheila screaming and hollering is bothering you, you're adding to the problem by buying that air horn. Because now every time Sheila would scream at Mark and Beth, Rhonda would step out on her porch to blow this extremely loud air horn. And it's just, okay, I don't think I would do that, but all right. Blow your air horn. Anyway, while Rhonda's out there blowing the air horn, Wendell, who wants to keep the peace, tries to get Rhonda back in the house. He doesn't like this idea of her being out here with this air horn. Like, you're adding to the tension. Come back in the house. I agree with Wendell there. Since all the back and forth, all the screaming, all the yelling, Wendell and Rhonda decide they want to get a fence as well. they have decided that they are tired of being bothered with all the back and forth with Sheila and Mark and Beth, that they now would like to have some peace and quiet themselves, a little privacy, so they hire a company to put in a new fence for them as well. When Sheila realizes that Wendell and Rhonda are also getting a fence, for some reason it really ticked her off. She went a little bit over the edge about it. She was not happy at all. How dare they also get a fence? Personally, I don't understand why she cared about Wendell and Rhonda's fence. I mean, yeah, Mark and Beth put up a fence and took away what you thought was your land. I can see you getting a little ticked about that. But when you found out the truth that it wasn't really your land, why not just let it go? I don't know, but she was ticked. Sheila, still being unhappy about the situation with the land, she actually decides to hire an attorney to fight Mark and Beth. However, Mark and Beth beat her to it. They hired an attorney, and Sheila got her notification from their attorney before she had the opportunity to get her attorney to send the notification to Mark and Beth. Mark and Beth, when they went to their attorney, they decided to press civil charges against Sheila for harassment. They just wanted her to leave them alone and let them live on their property in peace. Next thing you know, someone leaves a dead rabbit out on Sheila's porch. And she swears that it's Wendell and Rhonda, and they're out to get her. They're threatening her. She calls the police. She tells the police that she's sure it had to be Rhonda or Wendell. They shot this rabbit and then put it on my porch. The police tell her there's no gunshot wounds on this rabbit. She insists that they go and talk to Wendell and Rhonda. The police go speak to Wendell and Rhonda, who both deny they had anything to do with that rabbit. And the police make up a report and leave. It turns out over a 5 to 6 year period, the police were called out over 50 times due to these neighbors not being able to coexist, all because it started with this fence and this land. I mean, I couldn't imagine. 50 times? Goodness gracious. Sheila was extremely upset. She picks up the rabbit, takes it over to Rhonda's, and throws it on their porch. I mean, what do you do with that? Well, let me go get these gloves and get this rabbit off my porch. You know, like, lady, we are not doing this, okay? That was too much. Sheila, Mark, and Beth are still having it out on a regular basis. Sheila lets them know that once her lawyer gets everything straightened out, their fence is gonna get taken down. This is crazy, okay? I mean, this would have all ended pretty well if she would have just said, whatever, put up the fence. You know what I mean? Have your fence, let me go on and do my own thing. It's crazy. So it ended up just getting down to a kindergarten level. They're outside hurling insults at each other. And, you know, as a grown-up, you're thinking, everybody go to timeout. But why are you out here acting like this? It's already done. The fence is up. The cows are here. Rhonda and Wendell, their fence is up. Why don't you get a fence? You know what I mean? Put yourself up a fence and everybody just get behind their fences and shut up. That's a lot. By January 2017, the neighbors all say that Sheila is in a rage and that she is angry with them day in and day out. Even throughout the winter, she is angry with them.
Why don't you go blow that thing somewhere else? Ow! Seriously, Sheila? Are you kidding me?
She would wait until they had snow blowed their driveway, then turn her snowblower around so that she is now blowing all of her snow into their driveway. You know, that is petty times 100. It really is. As a person who has a driveway that I have to shovel if my son doesn't do it, that is something that would send me over the edge. I've just shoveled this driveway and now you have put your snow in my driveway. We're gonna have a problem. But hey, that's what they were dealing with. Can you imagine? Rhonda calls the police. She reports Sheila and her snowblower antics. The police, of course, come out. They fill out the police report and leave. So yet again, there's no consequences for anybody. The neighbor, they're just like, listen, the police, every time they come out, they just tell them the same thing. Please, please, cut the crap. But I guess they just, get back in their patrol car and wait for the next call. They said that it just got to a point where it was as if it was a regular thing. Sheila would wait for them to clear their driveway, and then here she comes.
This is what we got to put up with. Our driveway is cleaned, and she's blowing it in ours. Like she can't flip it around and throw it in the field.
Stop!
Sheila said that my mom hit her snowblower with a shovel. It wasn't true.
You're leaving all the dirty work to your lady? What, you're not man enough for me?
My mother said Wendell stood up and exposed himself to her.
You want to see my other gun?
You pig!
Of course, the cops come out. They go talk to Rhonda. Rhonda says that Sheila exposed herself to Wendell by pulling her pants down, that she was mooning them, and nothing happens. Another police report is filled out and the cops leave. Oh gosh. I mean, now you just feel bad for the cops. They have to come out here for this. Rhonda also told the cops when they came out that Sheila had been threatening to kill Mark and Beth. She had also been threatening to kill the pigs and the cows, and they were really tired of her harassing them. The police tell them the next time she harasses them or threatens anyone, they should video record it so that they could have some sort of evidence, because right now it's a he said, she said situation, or she said, situation, and there's nothing that they can do without evidence. Beth at some point records Sheila allegedly threatening her, and she gives the recording to the police. The police did nothing then either. So it makes you think, is there anything that can be done? Here she is allegedly threatening these people, and you have the proof. However, the police took another report and went on about their business.
You better listen and understand. You well know how to treat a lady.
You're gonna have a summons on your ass.
Jury trial, guaranteed.
It's ridiculous. It gets worse. All three neighbors go down to the courthouse to file protective orders against each other. The judge denies all three protection orders and scolds them. The judge tells them he cannot make them be good neighbors or good human beings. Pretty much, get out of my court. I mean, really? This is crazy. I mean, at this point, you're thinking, would it be easier just to pick up and move? So Beth goes outside one morning and all of her chickens are dead. Mark immediately calls the cops because they are sure Sheila has killed the chickens. However, the police fill out a report and leave. I mean, there's no evidence that Sheila killed these chickens. How do you know it wasn't a raccoon? You know what I mean? There's no proof of this. Sheila decides that she needs to have some protection, so she arms herself with a .357, and she's not afraid to use it, and she knows how to use it, and she says she will protect herself at all costs. Sheila would wear her gun outside. The neighbors said that she made them feel like a prisoner. Some of them were afraid to even go out and check their mail. They said they could not come or go without Sheila harassing them. So Mark decides he's going to get him a gun as well. That is never a good sign. When one neighbor is out holstered up and you know you don't get along with the rest of the neighbors, then all of a sudden they feel nervous and then they think they have to get a gun too. Ugh. I would definitely rather move. As a matter of fact, run down to the local mall and buy a whole bunch of Cheryl's cookies and an apology card. Apologize to these people, Sheila. Like, this is dangerous. Oh my goodness. Next thing you know, Wendell and Rhonda, they have guns. Sheila has guns. Mark and Beth now have guns. Everybody is armed to the teeth. Ooh. Next thing you know, Sheila calls the cops. She tells the cops that Rhonda is shooting towards her house. The police get there. They go to talk to Wendell and Rhonda and find out that Wendell and Rhonda's gun hasn't even been fired. They are not shooting at Sheila's house. They filled out another report and left. So at this point, Sheila is living in total fear. To her, Wendell and Rhonda, Mark and Beth are dangerous. And this feud has been going on for 6 years. This is nuts to me. All over a fence and a property line? Gosh. December 24th, 2017. Mark and Beth go over to Wendell and Rhonda's house. They're going to go over there to celebrate New Year's Eve and exchange gifts because they have become really good friends throughout all of this back and forth feuding with Sheila. While they were there, they also gave them subpoenas. They asked Wendell and Rhonda if they would please be witnesses in their civil trial, which was scheduled for January the 9th, 2018, against Sheila. So they figured, great, we will be your witnesses. It's only a few more weeks that we'll have to go through this. Once this civil case is over, this will all be over. On December 26, 2017, Sheila is out snow blowing her driveway. However, while she's out there, she's screaming and hollering at the neighbors who are in their house minding their business. On December 27, 2017, Sheila's family and a friend are looking for Sheila. They have not heard from her. They haven't talked to her. They haven't received any phone calls. Her friend stops by and he notices that her driveway has not been snow blown. And he knows that there's no way that Sheila would allow that driveway to go without being done. However, the snowblower was outside. He also knows that she would never leave her snowblower sitting outside. At this time, her daughter shows up, and so they both decide to go in. When they get to the door, they realize the door is open. She never leaves her door open or unlocked, so that really kind of set off alarm bells for them. They also found that her keys and her cell phone were also in the house, so her daughter calls the police. The police search the area for Sheila for 5 hours, but they still cannot find her. Then her daughter finds a note in Sheila's journal that says, if anything ever happens to me, please check the neighbors next door. Or they could check those 50 police reports. Her daughter tells the police, agree, they'll go over and talk to the neighbors. So they start with Mark and Beth. They asked Mark and Beth if they could search their property. Mark and Beth said, absolutely, sure, go ahead, search our property. Once they've searched Mark and Beth's property and there's no signs of Sheila, they go over to Wendell and Rhonda's house to ask them permission to search their property. When the police ask Wendell if they have permission to search his land, he tells them absolutely not, and to get off his land. He's tired of Sheila. He's tired of dealing with it. He doesn't want to be bothered. And the police said they knew it would take them a while to get a warrant, so they let the family know, we'll need a warrant to look on his property. We'll get back with you tomorrow. The family said, oh, heck no. Heck no. So some of the family members got together and they snuck on Wendell's property to look for Sheila. And they found her.
I just saw her and I decided to put an end to the nonsense.
Walked outside in a blowing snowstorm between 2 trees and approached her from behind.
So I just walked right up behind her. Shot her.
How many shots did you fire?
Just one.
And what happened?
I pushed her snowblower back to her house. Went and got the sled.
What items of clothing did you take off from her?
All that she had on.
Are you sorry you did it?
Sorry for my actions, I guess. I'd say I'm not really sorry she's gone.
Wendell says that he just snapped. It was a 6-year battle and he had had enough. He saw her outside blowing her driveway and putting all of her snow into their driveway, and he said he just snapped. He was done. He could not deal with one more day, one more second of her. He grabs his gun out of his nightstand and he approached her from behind. Wendell says that Rhonda had no idea what he did. He said that she had taken a sleeping pill and that she slept through the whole thing. In 2018, Wendell was found guilty in the murder of Sheila Bongi and convicted to life imprisonment. Mark and Beth still live next door to Rhonda and her daughter. When Sheila's grieving sister went back to Sheila's house to pick up some of her belongings, someone had written on her garage door, "Happy New Year, Wendell, he who brought peace to all of us." Can you imagine? Somebody just murdered your sister and the neighbors write a note like that on the garage, thanking somebody for bringing peace to the neighborhood by bringing peace was killing your sister? That is terrible. And you know what? Whoever did that, you are disgusting. Oh my gosh. Sheila might have been a pain in the butt, but she was somebody's family. She was somebody's sister, somebody's mother, somebody's girlfriend. You know what I mean? Wow. I mean, I did feel bad for Mark and Beth. You know, they were harassed by Sheila, but nobody deserves to be killed for it. I mean, that's bad. I mean, he's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. And I did see a few news and clips, and I'm going to add a couple. So take a look.
Good evening to both of you. Yes, this is an odd case here, and really it feels like both the victim and suspect are on trial here. This all relates to the killing of Sheila Bongi that happened back in December. Today, we heard from people in both corners, those who care for the suspect, Wendell Popejoy, and the fiance of the victim, Sheila Bongi. This case started last December when Bongi went missing shortly after Christmas. Eventually, Bongi's loved ones found her nude body on Popejoy's property. She had been shot once at close range in the back of the head. For lack of a better way to phrase it, witnesses all but said she had it coming. They called for her a relentless bully, a mean, vile, nasty neighbor. One witness said neighbors jokingly hoped that she would die of a heart attack. But we also heard from a man who loved Bongi and was clearly torn up about losing her.
I don't know if there was ever an opportunity for good feelings to be obtained.
Well, what was the source of the not so good feelings?
Sheila's actions and verbal abuses and relentlessness.
And she's carrying on and yelling, and she threatened our neighbor, or told our neighbor, "I hope you fall and break your hip."
Is that the kind of person she is?
No, she wasn't like that. They like riling her up a lot.
They like riling her up?
Yeah, they used to rile her up.
How would they do that?
Just aggravate her on different things and say different things, and then they'd go back and forth. I'm just hearsay, so I don't know. I probably should have went home more often, but I didn't.
So your take on things is that her behavior would be due to being riled up by the neighbors by...
Yeah, harassing her all the time.
Now, what's not in dispute here is the fact that Popejoy did indeed kill the victim in this case. The question is whether it is indeed first-degree murder, the defense asking for a conviction on a lesser count. We are reporting live in Grand Haven. Leon Hendricks, 24-hour News 8.
Wow. Until next time.